podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hi, Daniel. How is it going?
Well, thank you. How are you?
Yep, pretty good. Well, as you can hear, I've got a slightly stuffy nose. I've come back from a road trip with the lurgy, but surviving.
Yes, Vicks.
Yeah, a little bit of Vicks, that's it. Should sort the problem out.
Vicks now always just reminds me of Trainspotting, the book.
Right.
I don't know if you're familiar with that, with the book or the particular scene.
Yeah, I have actually... Long story, but I have actually met Danny Boyle. He's a friend of my mum's friend.
Oh. Yeah, we're back on your mum. I'm sorry, I wasn't meant to come out like that.
When was the first time, Daniel?
And I now have this image again, just if you're taking a dump on the floor. But yeah, in Trainspotting, Spud ends up using Vicks as a lubricant because that's all yes. There is. And obviously, sometime after that, things change. But and I always think of that. One of my friends was when he was on his gap year. They were shared a room, two of them, with someone else, and he said he woke up in the middle of the night and his nads were absolutely burning off, and he didn't know why. And it turned out that the person who he was sharing a room with, who he didn't really know, had rubbed deep heat into his boxer shorts and the boxer shorts of the other lad who was in the room with them.
Brilliant.
The human mind.
The J-parade that goes on at university. Someone left a fish in our boiler cupboard when we moved into a place, and it just took us ages to work out why the place stank.
I did. One of my favourites in that era was milk under the bed.
Lovely.
If someone was leaving somewhere for a little while. I was on a stag once. I can't believe I'm going to admit to this. I feel like this might get me. So there was a goldfish bowl in the pub. And obviously we were buying the stag and each other just terrible things. And then we thought, what about a vodka and tomato juice, which is nicely opaque? And so we get a vodka and tomato juice, and the grooms hate fucking tomato juice, chucks it on the floor. And obviously there's a goldfish flapping. We left quite hastily after that.
If you were to play a prank on the Glazer boys, what would it be?
I don't think it would be a prank. It would be. We're bullying. We're not friends.
Yeah, I like the honesty. Yeah, I guess we can have a quick chat about the ownership. So the rumours going around that the Carlyle Group, which is a very large private equity group, heavily invested across the UK, interested. Still seems. I mean, my take on it, reading between the lines, is that the four of the siblings, not named Joel or Avram, are still desperately trying to get out, and they're looking for routes that aren't a full sale. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we've discussed before that in order to make more money out of United, you have to be successful, and they're not prepared to put the money in, but they may have got wind of the fact that success might be coming anyway. So perhaps they hang around for a little bit longer and see, really, because if United do get good again without them having to use that much more of the money that they've earmarked for themselves, for the team, then I guess they might think the sale price would then be higher. But surely there's only so much that someone will pay for a football club, however successful. And they must be close to what that is now. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think the better deal is the full sale. If Sir Jim and the Qatari bid really are at about 5 billion with those third rounds, I think that's we can speculate that United might be successful, but any organic routes to growth, so like TV deals and sponsorship, are like very unlikely in the short term. So there's a little bit more money coming out of the Swiss Model Champions League, but not loads, maybe £15 million a season, assuming United are in it. Nothing on the Premier League from this cycle. Nothing on international rights till 2027. That's the US one, if anyone's betting on that as a market. And so the routes to growth are United being successful and getting more sponsors and more TV revenue, but it's not transformational growth. So I'm not sure that if that's what the Glazer boys are betting on, that's realistic. And plus, there's investment needed. United are topped out on the transfer spend, basically, and the stadium needs some kind of revamp. Anything between a lick of paint and a fixing the leaks and a full new stadium build. So anyway, if Carlisle did buy out, or one of the other private equity groups, Ares or Elliott or any of the others did buy out the four siblings, given that those B shares convert to A, it would leave Avram and Joel with about, let's guesstimate, 20 to 25% of the club, but 75% of the control of the voting shares. So they would be minority investors, but completely in control, which would offer a question mark about why some of these investment firms want to get involved.
The whole thing, I mean, that's because it seems, as we said, that the best option for them is a sale. But, I mean, and perhaps this is all just nonsense. They're just leaking stories to try and drive up the price.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's not unlikely that they might be capable of doing that. But I want them to stay. Can't believe I'm uttering those words, but of the options on the table.
Joel, I'll miss you. Please stay.
Yeah, please don't go. Don't go. But, and then in the meantime, them arsing up just one last transfer window, even if they do go, as just an extra things, putting a VIX on the private parts. Just an extra one of those.
That's it. So, yes, I asked, how would you prank the Glazers? They've been pranking us for 18 years, haven't they? It's a good business model if you can get it. All right, on the pitch, United beat Forest. So, sorry we're a couple of days late to this. It's my fault. I was on the road forever. And as you might have caught with the last two pods, which I did from a hotel somewhere with people clanking in the background, but I thought it was a solid win over Forest.
Yeah, it was good.
Given the context of loads of injuries, the late capitulation against Sevilla at Old Trafford, I thought United played really well. A lot of control. I didn't realise this until I listened to the other Manchester United podcast. But with Casemiro, Bruno and Eriksen all starting, United had, before this game, had won 15 out of 17 and drew the other two. So it really does make a big difference when you have players who know what they're doing in midfield.
Yeah, I think that when people were saying that, we'd hit the wall and all of that, it mainly looked to me like we didn't have Casemiro and Eriksen. And as soon as you put them back in, it's a good team again. And it was a good team again without even Marcus Rashford, who it looks like will play tomorrow night, I think. Presumably will at least be on the bench. But United are good enough to beat almost all the teams in the league on almost any day because they've got that midfield and good firepower. So you should be able to keep the ball down the other end most of the time. And against Forest, you never really thought that they were going to not win. Even had Forest got that penalty that Steve Cooper managed to talk himself into saying was not only an obvious penalty. And it was close. I see both sides of it, but also a second yellow card for Maguire.
Yep.
So Forest would in fact definitely have won. But yeah, if we'd have lost that penalty, we'd still have beaten them. And the finishing does need to be better. We do need more out of Jadon Sancho, etc. But most of the players are going to be fit again. I think that Maguire and Lindelof, we know, are fine for the top four. The problem's going to come because we're going to have to use them sometimes in the cup. I mean, Maguire's suspended for Brighton, but he'll presumably be playing against Sevilla. And we are going to need them in the cups, and then probably will let us down at some point. They have done before.
Yeah. Well, yes, Maguire did his best early on to get the crowd on his back. It's a little small-timey from the Forest fans to be on his back all the time. I mean, I guess it's fun making fun of Maguire, isn't it? There's football.
Yeah, there's football, and he played for Leicester, who apparently there is a fierce rival, East Midlands rivalry. Everyone wants to be the pride of the East Midlands.
They do. Yeah.
I'll tell you what is the most heartwarming football story currently, I feel, is actually nothing to do with United at all. Well, that's not surprising, I don't suppose. But what an absolute doing Unai Emery is giving Stephen currently. with exactly the same players, made them into what
a very good team.
Was a good team. It was obvious that was a good team with players, and he couldn't work out who to pick or where to pick them or anything. And very quickly, I mean, United are playing them next weekend. Very quickly, Unai has shown Steven to be something.
A complete japester, yeah. And we got Frank Lampard back at Chelsea at the moment, getting a spanking every week.
The living definition of privilege. In front of Frank Lampard.
Yeah. I mean, they're both of them, right? Like, I don't like to make reductionist arguments normally, but do Frank Lampard or Steven Gerrard get jobs on merit? I mean, at least Gerrard did a decent job in Scotland.
He got really lucky in Scotland in being in between Brendan and Big Ang. Where he got the Neil Lennon interregnum.
That's right.
Managed to eke out a title before Leifing when they were running into trouble in the following season. Big Ang, who is great, and if I was a sort of if United if Ten Hag were to leave, Big Ang would definitely be on my list of people that I would want. And if I was much lower, if I was anywhere around sort of below top 4 in the Premier League, he's someone I'd definitely be wanting to think about if I was after a manager. I like him. But so he did a good job at Rangers, but he got out at the right time without looking silly. And it was I felt that he went to Villa too early, and that he was never gonna do. He was going to do so badly at Villa that he denied us the joy of him ever getting the Liverpool job.
Yeah, he seems to have done a very good job at that. Yeah, I was caught in two stools there, wanting him to fail just because it's amusing to me, and wanting him to do okay to go and bollocks up the Liverpool job. But I don't think he's going to get there.
And Lampard, it's just completely ridiculous state of affairs.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it. He was complaining that they're not that bad after inevitably being dumped out of the European Cup. I mean,
did he think he was going to go and do a Tuchel? Sorry, I'm interrupting here, but this thought just to me.
I think he probably did. I think he thought he was going to come in and win the European Cup for them. You can't fault his confidence.
Because I always wondered, when Tuchel won the Champions League, did he think, oh my gosh, he's made me the correct schmuck here? Or did he think, I was getting there, see? If you just left me alone with that, this is my squad, and I would have done that.
I think he probably thought that. Yes. Yep. I'm just really hoping Todd Boehly appoints himself next. It'd just be great. Loving the car crash. With the Chelsea, I know we're on a long diversion here, but Chelsea in this weird position of having bought loads and loads of players and most likely going to have to sell both Levi Colwill and Mason Mount this summer because it gives them a good FFP boost because they're academy players. And I'm sure if you ask Chelsea fans, not that I converse with too many Chelsea fans, but I'm sure if you ask them, who are the players you'd most like to sell? Levi Colwill and Mason Mount would be very low down on that list.
Well, I guess they'll get rid of Pulisic and probably Hudson-Odoi.
And Lukaku, if they can find anyone foolish enough to buy him.
Ziyech. So they'll get something for those players.
But most of them they'll get cash there, but it won't help their FFP position nearly as much as it would do if they sold academy players. I mean, the thing with Mason Mount is, I think for 5 out of the 6 seasons he's been a professional, his numbers don't look good enough for an attacking player. I mean, his work rate is exceptional. He's a very game intelligent player. That's why Southgate likes him a lot. He does press from the front. He's good press trigger. There's a lot to like. I always thought he'd be better as an 8 than a 10, just because he doesn't seem to have that kind of creative instinct. There was that one season, not this one, the one before, where he did all right on the numbers. It improved a lot. So there's something raw there. I wouldn't take him for the kind of fee that Chelsea are probably likely to want, even with a year left on the contract.
I feel like he's someone I would happily let go to Liverpool. I think he's a good player, but if you think about, if we're going to play with a 6 and 2 8s, and the other 8 is Bruno Fernandes and the 6 is Casemiro, that is an Oxford Cambridge Hull situation, isn't it?
Yeah,
Casemiro, he's not the class of those players, and you're looking for someone who is.
That's right. And Eriksen's got another season in him, I think, before the physicality starts to really drop off.
He does, but if we want to challenge for the Champions League next season,
we need another player.
We're going to definitely need an option in midfield that isn't Eriksen, because you won't beat the best teams probably with Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno in midfield. You might, because you've still got class players, and we'll have a centre forward, which will help. But to dominate the game against City, let's say, or Madrid, you're not doing that probably with Christian Eriksen in that midfield.
I'm talking to centre forwards. Antony Martial started the game well against Forest. He scored, obviously, against Sevilla. Started the game well against Forest. Thought he dropped off, kind of faded, which is like his thing, I suppose, and when he's actually fit. But it is nice to have him in the side. He does make a difference in terms of United's ability to move.
He makes. I mean, he created a goal, winning the ball high up the pitch. What on earth is going on? I mean, he does. I mean, he does know that this is properly the last chance. And he's got a manager who really wants to keep him.
Really, so keep saying it. Yeah,
I mean, I think
it's strong.
Yeah, I think that what will happen is we'll buy someone to go in front of him, but the manager likes him enough to keep him around because he is a really good player when he's playing well, and just the fact that like the way that you can play off him, that Bruno can play a pass into him in a way you just cannot with Big Wout. And
yes,
he's much better than Rashford is at that as well. Although he doesn't have the same pace in behind and the same desire to make the runs. But I mean, if we could get Bellingham, and this is a completely hypothetical situation, I'm not even speculating about whether we should or anything like really. But if we could get Bellingham, I would be interested in spending the money on Bellingham if I was sure he could stay fit, which I never would be.
Yeah,
because I think that Bellingham and him would be better than a less good midfield player and a different striker who might not be that good. I don't know. Than Goncalo Ramos or whatever. Like, let's say it was him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It'll be one for the summer because I don't think United spent a couple $100 million, one on a striker and two on a midfielder.
Well,
so a compromise will be made somewhere.
Unless we get human rights abusing state.
Yeah. And even maybe would have to sell
for FFP.
Yeah, just to balance the FFP books, there will need to be some sales, but there's a lot of players available this summer.
And there's players that someone's going to buy Maguire. Yeah, someone's going to buy McTominay probably.
Yeah,
who I'd sort of be sad to see go. That we end up in a situation there where we've got McTominay, Zabitzer, who may or may not stay, and Fred. The likelihood is that Zabitzer probably goes. But Zabitzer, is he probably the best of them? Would you think?
I think he's the most all-round of all of them. I mean, we've seen what he can do when playing further forward. Although it was interesting that moving Bruno back to 10, which presumably he wouldn't have played at if Sabitzer injured himself in the warm-up. Like, brought everything out of Bruno again. The fact that he got 20 minutes off the other night and got a rest because the ref told Ten Hag he was going to send him off just seemed to renew Bruno. He suddenly had energy again.
I mean, I think that, Zabitzer is definitely the most game-intelligent player of those three. Fred is quite useful for certain activities. Yeah, and I feel like it's probably easier to predict when Fred might give you something than when McTeam might give you something.
True.
But I like his attitude, and he loves United. And when you're splitting hairs, and I think I don't think there's loads between the top levels of those three players, but it feels like McTominay will be the one that gets the stick. I don't know if they'll waste money on Zabitzer, but I feel like McTominay will get the stick anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if a big bid came in to, I don't know, say Newcastle. I mean, I tell you who'd do well at Newcastle is Harry Maguire. Perfect for him. They do like to keep it sort of deep and tight at the back.
Oh,
not a euphemism.
With the Vicks.
The other player to call out against Forest, I guess, is Antony, who had a very good game. At those, he scored and provided an assist, his first assist in the Premier League, his first double goal contribution in a game for a pointless stat there, but all round felt like a very good performance from him. Maybe clouded a little bit by the goal, but I thought it was maybe his best for United.
He's been good quite a bit recently. He was really good against Forest. So Ten Hag said that they made them take Godfrey off because what we're seeing more is we're seeing him want to run on the outside, and you don't even have to do it that often. The defender just has to know that you can, and then when you shift it inside, then it comes as more of a surprise, even though no one's remotely surprised when you did it. I really like Antony. I liked him from the beginning. I mean, he scored in his first game. He scored in his second game as well.
Yeah,
he's got some composure. He's got some bronca. He's never scared. He wants the ball. I pitched a piece when Antony was getting pelters in about January to my editor and said I want to write something about Antony being actually good. And I haven't had time to write the piece yet. I mean, I've sort of noted it, but I haven't written it. And I'm feeling like it's not out of date, but he's proving me right before I've had the chance to get into a position where I can say, look, I was right. But he gives the team balance. He's getting more help from right back now. He's probably a bit more settled, and he's just doing more things. And he's a player who Ten Hag wants for the team that he wants United to be. And the team that United are now is not quite that team. He's good.
Yep.
He's a good counter-attacking player, but he's more when you're trying to keep the ball and when you're trying to dominate possession and make angles. He'll give you width. He can come inside. He can come into midfield. He can move around. In a team that circulates the ball a lot, he is a very useful motherfucker to have because he's really good on the ball, holding on to possession in various ways.
Yes, he can run with it, and he doesn't always take the man on, but he carries the ball really well.
And he holds it when you need it to be held.
He does overhold it sometimes, but I think I do. This is a sense rather than like backed up with any data that he's becoming more intelligent about when to use it and when to not. That's one of the things that Wilf Zaha never did when his short time with United is learn when to pass the ball.
He hardly ever played. I thought that was nuts.
Yeah.
That was Fergie, the greatest manager of all time, basically by most metrics that you would choose to deploy. He told Moyes two things. One, get rid of Wayne Rooney. And Moyes bottled that decision. And it wasn't that Rooney was appalling afterwards, but it was time to get rid of Rooney and use the money. And he told him that Zaha was good. And, I mean, he wasn't right about everything, but it was two quite ballsy moves of Moyes to when you've got an aging team as well that needs just a bit of like a step quickener. There weren't very many step quickeners in that team by the end because the players that had it that made you quicken your step were past it really.
Sure. Yeah.
And to give Zaha nothing when it's an absolute shit show, I thought was quite odd. But I think Antony there's a team developing around him as well. And when you put all the right players around him, he's getting loads more out of Wan-Bissaka now. It stands to reason. And I think he's going to be a good player. He's going to be a better player. And it also looks like there's a bit of a contest to be his understudy because I like Pellistri because I like the fact that he's a proper winger. He's trying to run around the outside.
It's very direct.
That's something we don't really have in the team, in the squad, so it's nice. But Ahmad is also doing really well at Sunderland, and there's only room in the squad currently for one of those.
That's right. And it's good competition. I mean, it's a step up for Ahmad, and the fact that he's not at United, I mean, I guess it's good for its development, although Ten Hag seems to like to have players that he believes in, younger players in the squad. He didn't let Pellistri go on loan, which the Pellistri camp was pushing for very hard. But he's getting quite a lot of game time now.
How can Pellistri have a camp?
Yeah. The entourage.
Who is in this camp?
There's Luis Suarez.
He was 4 down. He was a 4 down recommendation, wasn't he?
That's right. Yeah. Diego, I feel like he just got fired from a job, didn't he, Diego Forlan? Anyway, Wan-Bissaka you mentioned, he did well again in coming inside and making the extra man in midfield. I mean, Dalot, it was perhaps even more natural for him on the left-hand side because Tyrell Malacia and Luke Shaw both injured. Come inside, invert, create the overloads in midfield. But Wan-Bissaka is really doing well at this. I mean, even the weaknesses with using the ball, I feel like, is improving.
And I think he's improving at the back post.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the last time I feel like he was caught out at the back post because it was a real feature, wasn't it? So didn't get caught out against Forest, that was for sure. So.
It feels like he's paying more attention, and it didn't seem. I mean, however dense you are, it doesn't seem like looking over your shoulder is something that you should forget if you're a defender, or that couldn't be coached. It's not. You're not. I don't really feel like you're asking for that much. And
no, that's right.
If we sign a right back, and it feels like we want to, who are you getting rid of apart from Brandon Williams?
That's a good question, isn't it? Because, I mean, who has the potential to be the most complete right back out of Dalot and Wan-Bissaka? I mean, Brandon Williams has got to go for his own good. He just doesn't. He hasn't reached the ceiling we thought he could, or maybe we didn't think he could. I thought he could.
I wasn't convinced by him. But
and yeah, so I mean, I guess the question is, like, neither Dalot or Wan-Bissaka produce really high levels of output in the attacking third. Dalot's clearly more comfortable there, and you can teach the defensive part, I think, with him. Wan-Bissaka, can he ever be really very good in the final third? I'm not sure. You might get a better fee for Wan-Bissaka, and I'm not sure about the relative wages. So it's a tight one. I might just err on the letting Wan-Bissaka go if we were getting another right back.
I think I am the opposite. I think I'd bin Dalot and keep Wan-Bissaka because.
Or here's another one: bin them both. Sorry, and I cut you off there, but
no, good. Bin them both. I'm listening.
Bin them both and test how desperate Chelsea are in their FFP position for Reece James, who's, although he signed a long-term contract, would give them all the money they need.
I love Reece James. And I had previously heard that he quite fancied United. Like a couple of years ago.
Maybe his sisters had a good word to say about the club. But then she
pissed off.
Yeah.
She is a player, by the way.
Real player,
She feels like the next generation of footballers, where there are few players that you see who look like they're playing in the future. And I don't want to make it ridiculous. Like the two players in my life watching, in fact, not in my life. Like the one when I watch old tape of Duncan Edwards, he looks like he's playing in the future compared to everybody else. He's bigger and faster than everybody else. And the original Ronaldo looks like he's playing on fast forward.
Yeah,
Those of you who used to have a video will know what that means. Others, as far as it does sort of exist, I guess, but not in the same way.
You can do it on video. You can set it to 1.5 on YouTube.
But yeah, she's not there yet, Lauren James. But she looks like a footballer from the future. But
when she came to the club and she was playing in the Women's Championship at 16, I mean, I saw that team live a few times, and I thought then she was a real player, like deeply inconsistent, as you'd expect a 16, 17-year-old to be. But yeah, incredible talent. But yes, anyway, Reece James, I'd definitely take him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a brilliant player. I'd sell them both happily, and some other people if it meant we could get Reece James, who also feels like when England have been looking for right backs, it felt like, I know Southgate likes Walker, but it felt to me like he was the best combination of what Southgate liked about Walker and wouldn't use in Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, that's right. I think so. It always struck me as the most balanced. He's got the recovery pace. Anyway, I cut you off. Why are you flogging Dalot and keeping Wan-Bissaka?
Because I think that if I'm buying someone who can properly attack.
Yeah.
And then if I'm doing that, then I think Wan-Bissaka can defend better than Dalot. And I like the ball carrying from Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, true.
I like the ability to defend one-on-one. And I'm not sure. Dalot, I mean, he's had some good games. It's just, and he has done some good things. It's just, I guess I feel like Wan-Bissaka is improving more quickly than he is. And it makes me think that Ten Hag is able to make Wan-Bissaka a better player more easily than he is with Dalot, because Wan-Bissaka, it's more about telling him to do the certain stuff. And with Dalot, I feel like it's maybe about ability that he doesn't have.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a decent argument. Casemiro managed to not get himself sent off, which was impressive. And it was until the end.
I tell you what, it looked like in a few tackles he was sort of pulling out of them. And I don't know if it's because he feels like he's not fit or he doesn't want to get booked and sent off again. But
I suspect he's having pause for thought.
because he's probably played his whole career with that Casemiro, and I played for Real Madrid. You're not allowed to send me off.
You're not allowed to touch me. Yeah, or send me off. Did you see Ronaldo, not original Ronaldo, Al Hilal Ronaldo, Al Nasser, he plays for Al Hilal's the other one, get himself a yellow card for wrestling down an opponent around the neck?
I did see this, and they lost 2-0 to Odion Igalo's team.
Yes.
So, have that dickhead.
It was a special moment. I quite enjoyed it.
I feel like he must
he got into his brain there.
He must feel like I feel when I go to the club, where it's just like, I love doing this because I love doing this, and I'll always be doing this, but a bit out of time here.
So you hanging out with a bunch of 18-year-olds at a club, you don't feel out of place, no?
I guess the places I would tend to go to are not full of 18-year-olds, and I'm not always the oldest person. I went to see Getz last summer, and I was in the Somerset House, and then I was in the queue for the bar, and I was looking around thinking, I'm really old. And previously, the people I was with, we'd be trying to work out, were we the oldest people there? And you're trying to look around for people older than you. And then someone says to me in the queue, do you think we're the oldest people here? And I said, well, possibly. How old are you? And he goes, I'm 35. Shut the fuck up, then. No, you're not the oldest person here. I mean, I guess he was saying he thought that I might be younger than 35. Let's look at it like
take
that.
it that way. Yeah. That's right.
I was absolutely certain that that's what he meant. But yeah, so Ronaldo, I want him to just not enjoy anything and for it to all be on my television. Yes. That's what I want.
Yeah, well, that was a good moment. He's managed to get his manager sacked this season already, which I have to say, he was pretty impressive. He's only played 11 games, but there were rumours that he'd fallen out with Rudy Garcia already. He has scored 11 in 11, although if you dig in a little bit, there's quite a lot of flat track bullying going on in that number of penalties, and he scored 4 in one game as well. Anyway, I'd like to not have to think about him, but I could not see that. It was amusing.
But yeah, Casemiro, I think back to him. I think that there was one solid tackle he put in closer to the end, and also it has usually taken him a few games to get up to speed as well. So I'm hoping that he'll be back at it for tomorrow night, really. But we've hardly had him since January.
I know, it's amazing how many games he's missed for some pretty nondescript crimes. I guess we can, since you mentioned it, think about Sevilla tomorrow night. We're talking on Wednesday. United have got to find a Bruno replacement somehow. I mean, will that be Sabitzer coming back into the team and pushing into that sort of more advanced role? Does seem to like using him as a runner, a third-man runner. Obviously not as creative, but away from home, maybe that's the option. I mean, United do have to win the game in order to progress, or unless we're talking about going to penalties, there's no away goals for all, so that doesn't matter. But, if you just took away the last sort of half an hour of the Sevilla game, United were so dominant at Old Trafford and just really, really threw it away. You'd think we're a lot better than them still.
Yeah, they're still a crap team. Yeah, they're still a crap team. And if we can avoid conceding a goal early, then I think we've got a really good chance. I mean, 2-2 is obviously not the terrible result it once was because there's no away goals. They still have to beat us. And there's no reason whatsoever to think that they're capable of that.
Yeah. They did win at the weekend out Valencia, but Valencia not in a great situation either.
Valencia terrible as well. Yeah, if we play well, even 7 out of 10, we will win that game. And it looks like, Shaw's fit again, so I presume it'll be Malassi at left back and Shaw in the middle with one of Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I guess Maguire, since he's the senior party.
And I thought Lindelof played well at Forest, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Maguire did that bad, except for when he had to face Brendan Johnson. Well. It gave the ball away a couple of times early, but yeah.
I'm sure it would be Maguire at this point, because just the aggravation of it not being Maguire, that's part of it. And I think, like you, the midfield will be Casemiro, Sabitzer, and Eriksen.
I suspect that will be it. Antony on the right. If Rashford's fit, he'll be left, and Martial through the middle. If Martial can do another game, I mean, he didn't complete the game against Forest, so perhaps they're just working
sure
up to play 90 minutes. He
I'm
hasn't
sure
played a
it'll be
full
him.
90 minutes for United in 19 months. Antony Martial.
Would you take United winning the Scouse treble if in exchange for that City won the actual treble?
Oh, God.
Or would you take top, like what we've got, basically, what we have, we hold, as Big Fat Rob would say. You take your
top four and
your League Cup and your top four, and City don't win one of the other two.
Christ almighty. That's like, would you rather lose your left ball or your right ball? I mean, I guess this is going to... I guess I'm erring on the side of City not winning treble.
Yes.
I know that's really petty, but it's just abhorrent, isn't it? The idea that City do that.
I mean, I feel like I also like trying to... It's impossible, obviously. We can't extricate ourselves from this conversation because that's my principal teenage achievement. I mean, I was about 20, is winning the treble by watching United win the treble. So I feel like I feel quite protective over that, to the point in 2008 when we lost to Portsmouth on my birthday. Part of me felt like obviously I wanted us to win, but in the back of my mind I'm quite pleased that achievement is staying unique.
Yeah,
but at this point, where are City most like? Which is the trophy you think they're least likely to win?
I mean, I couldn't say because I mean they are going to have to play Real Madrid in the semi-final, and that's the real final, isn't it, in terms of quality? Because on the other side of things, Milan versus Inter. Well, if it is Milan versus Inter, neither of those sides are good enough to beat Madrid or City. So the real final is that semi-final. So I guess you say least likely there. Arsenal are doing their very best to shit the bed in the Premier League. They're playing City in 2 weeks' time.
No, next Wednesday. Week today.
Oh, it's next Wednesday. Right. Yeah, can I answer that question after that game?
Well, I mean that
the momentum is all with them, isn't it? So
I think if City win that game, it's over.
Yeah.
I've always felt that Arsenal needed to be in a position where they could afford to toss that game and still win the league. Now, if Arsenal get a point in that game, they still probably have to beat Newcastle, because you just have to think City will win all the other games if they don't win that one. And Arsenal would then have to win all the games. But I think if City were to win that one, the chance of them then messing it up somewhere else look quite unlikely. Then it's down to either United or Brighton and Madrid.
Yeah.
It's not good. And it's weird because for a lot of this season, I haven't really felt like this was a massive threat. Whereas previous seasons, the season they lost to Wigan in the Cup, I couldn't believe they did that, because it really felt like the treble was there for them then, because it felt like they were the best side around by such a long way. And then the following year, they lost to Tottenham. And again, I felt like they would probably win the Champions League that season as well. But whereas this team, I don't think is as good as those teams were. It's just they've seemed to have hit form at the right time, where they were just close enough to be able to turn it around in the title.
Yeah, I mean, you always expected that they would go on some mega run of victories, but it never actually happened. They've always had a streak of inconsistency this season, despite Erling Haaland scoring 97 goals or whatever it is. Definitely been helped by Arsenal choking twice in the last week, which I thought was going to come with them. So. I
don't think those were chokes exactly, actually. I felt like it was more the opposite, overconfidence. That against Liverpool and the other day got a bit too, particularly against West Ham, it really got too easy for them. And against Liverpool, I was watching thinking, that defence is not good enough to invite pressure at Anfield. Even if Saliba's in it, which he wasn't, that's not... there are very few defences I've seen in my entire time watching football who I felt, when they invited pressure, would not concede. Well, I felt certain they would not concede. And I don't feel like that defence is that defence is put together to be adequate in defence and to get the ball forward quickly and well.
Yeah.
But Ben White a right back, Zinchenko a left back. And so I felt like in the Liverpool game, they got overconfident in the first instance when they conceded the first goal. And then after that, they just felt like they could see it out. And actually, they should have been trying to get a third goal. And against West Ham, it was just too easy for them. And I wasn't expecting them to toss it away in that manner, particularly. There's real 80s United about this. Missing penalties, tossing leads.
Yep.
Not beating teams you should.
Well, they've got the game against City coming up, as you mentioned. That's at City. And then a week later, or 10 days later, it's at Newcastle, and then the week later at home to Brighton. Those are the key ones for Arsenal, clearly. Brighton in very good situation at the moment under De Zerbi, and who seem to every week just pull out a play you've never heard of before. I mean, you'd take Evan Ferguson and Matoma right now, wouldn't you?
I don't know if I'd take Matoma, but I'd definitely take Evan Ferguson. And
God, yeah.
I'd be thinking very hard about just having him this summer, because I feel like he's the kind of striker that Ten Hag wants. And I know that we can leave Harry Kane at Spurs, and it won't cost us any cups or titles, probably. He's been there for a decade, and they haven't won jack shit. So I'm feel like I'm quite comfortable with Harry Kane being at Tottenham. So although I know he'd be good for us, I would be tempted to leave him there. Whereas I don't want Evan Ferguson going to Arsenal or someone in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Because he'll go there and he'll be good for a generation.
That's right. Yes, I mean, it's hard to tell exactly how good he is, but he seems to have all the materials. I like the number of different types of goals he scores as well.
And
he's got a fantastic touch as well. Just the ability to make himself space, and the finishing's obviously very high quality, but he also seems good in the air, so yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly as you say. It's the all-roundness of him, and the fact that he's got composure just make me. I mean, if you're offering me, I don't know how good Gonzalo Ramos is, but if you offer me one of those two based on what I've seen, I'm having Ferguson. And if you think about the strikers that are around, Kane, Osimhen, those two, if they don't want to do a deal with Tottenham for Kane, or it's just too ridiculous, Osimhen doesn't seem like he's coming to United, does it?
I mean, it would be extremely expensive, but
which seems to be one of those two.
Yeah.
I guess I would go Ferguson.
It's a good shout. All right, I guess we'll leave it there. Come on, United on Thursday. I feel like we do it. It was so controlled against Forest. It is a real miss, Bruno not being there. But like, just the sense of control we'll get with Eriksen and Casemiro in the middle. You can let Sabitzer run free for the third man runs. If Rashford's back, that it is not exactly like for like, is it? Of course, but adds to the goal threat. Yeah, I'm feeling reasonably confident. Reasonably.
Yeah, I think we'll be all right tomorrow as well, because, as I said, they have to beat us, and keeping us out. How many times are you going to have to score to beat us? Are they going to score twice? Like, they're going to have to score. Like, they only scored twice last time because we did it for them. And I know it will be different now, but part of me, I quite like the fact that they had to go and play these matches, like the Barca match too, and have to get results in them, because we don't want them to just win the Europa League. It's a developing team, and you want them to know that they can go to these places and perform. So I don't mind that there's a lot riding on this game, although obviously I would prefer us to have just sorted them out 5-0 the other day, as we should have done. And just going to watch it, there's just like that bit more, it's a bit more of a buzz than United being 4-0 up from the first leg and having to watch it because that's what we do, rather than watching it because there's a sense that it might be good.
All right, we'll leave it there. I'll catch you after the Sevilla game and at the weekend. Thanks a lot, Dan.
Please.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.